Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the May meeting of the Mountain View Computer Users Group. And today's agenda, we'll be discussing the club's business. Then we'll do timely tech topics, and we've got some really interesting ones this month. And lots of tips of the month and a few applications to share with you. Then we're going to go into terms of the month so you have a better understanding when we start talking about the changing face of password management. And of course, we will end up with our famous question and answer period. The club does have a sponsorship program for individuals, businesses that want to sponsor a meeting to help us defray costs, because honestly, the dues don't cover everything. So the sponsorship is $10 a meeting or $100 a year. You get a slide during the meeting. You get the part of the posted video on the web. You get mentioned in Facebook. Ask around. Who knows? You may find somebody who wants it. This month's sponsor is the candle lady, our own Carolyn McLean. She carries a line of incredibly great candles. And this month's special is strawberry shortcake. And if you really want to have the scent of fresh strawberries and a strawberry shortcake, this is the candle for you. So give her a call or drop her an email, and you won't be disappointed. Now let's move into discussing the user group business. We'll start off with introducing the officers. And I am John Buno, the president, and been the president since 1986. And our treasurer, Carol McLean, will give us the treasurer's report now. We have two vice presidents. Mike McLean is our vice president, who handles primarily Windows and iOS devices. And our other president is Barry McGordon, who does macOS and iOS. And the mystery man himself, our webmaster Jim Emmons, who does in fact exist. And I have seen him and had lunch with him a couple of times. And he does a great job on the web. And the primary resource you have for getting information about the club is our website. It's MVCUG.org. Jim maintains it, and it keeps information up to date. So if you need to find out about when the next meeting is, where it's going to be, or get some of the videos from past meetings, this is the place to go. We have a social media site, Facebook in particular, and you can reach us at facebook.com/MVCUG. And this is for interaction and to ask questions. It's a good resource. The membership benefits, in addition to the online resources that you just saw, include a hardware checkout, which we have right now a film slide scanner and a projector. We offer professional consultation discounts from myself and Barry. Here are the phone numbers. Just leave a message. Membership in the club is $25 per household annually. The membership year is September through August. Pay your annual dues to Treasurer Carolyn McLean, either by a check to the address shown here or via PayPal to educatoraz@yahoo.com. And coming up in future meetings, next month, we have the digital camera hardware part 1. And this is going to be a very close look at how digital cameras work, how they compare to 35mm cameras and digital cameras of today, what you do need to know, what you don't need to worry about, and how it actually works. And then in July, it's going to be part 2, where we're going to take a real close look at the software out there. So once you take the picture, how you can make it look better. So those are going to be 2 really good meetings. And closing up the club year, which ends in September, in August, this is a follow-on to the meeting that we had last August about the future. And what we're going to be taking a look at is what has changed this past year. And there's been some very interesting changes that will be coming up. And then in September, We have our club elections and a look at future topics. And remember, you're the ones to decide what we discuss each year. So start thinking about what you would like to see happen next year. This month's probably the biggest news that was out there is Apple going to introduce their VR headsets? Well, last month it was about a 50-50, but now it looks like it's going to be a definite. Some things that we think are going to happen, as opposed to the other VR sets that are out there. This one, the battery pack is going to be in the pocket, not attached to the headset itself, which is going to make it very light. And according to rumors, that many of the iPhone and iPad apps are ready to make use of it. Other news that's out there, Apple introduced for free the classical music app for iTunes. And this is an amazing app if you like or think you might like classical music. It even has a track in there to learn about classical music. So make sure you download this one. It is really good. And there is a hot rumor out there that iOS 17, the digital wallet is going to be completely redesigned to make it for better use. And this just came in 2 days ago. We have got Final Cut Pro and Logic is now available for M1 iPads and higher. It'll be in the App Store May 23rd. It'll be $4.99 a month or $49 a year. And it has been significantly redesigned for the touch screen and iPad tablet environment. And for anyone who does video, this is a must, because Final Cut Pro makes doing video very easy. And this news just came out this morning. Epic, which is one of the biggest game developers, if not the biggest game developer out there, who produces Unreal Engine, which is the prima donna engine used not only for gaming, but now for video production and virtual studios, has finally introduced Apple Silicon support, which means any Macs with the M1 chip can start using it natively, which means it's going to be lightning fast. They have held off doing this now for over a year, almost 2, but it's finally to support. So this is real big news. And this is a warning to all iOS owners that if you are browsing the web and you are prompted to install an application which gives features that are too good to be true, and you're not in the Apple App Store, do not install that software. Only install software on iOS devices that is from the Apple App Store. These email and web ads are offering unbelievable software, and when they do, they go in and install malware. They actually jailbreak the phone so they can install the software, and you're up a creek. So make sure you do not do this. Do we have any questions regarding the user group and the user group business? Okay, being no questions, we'll move right along. Now let's take a look at sharing tips and favorite applications. If you've ever run into a situation where you're in your inbox and you have messages which are marked as junk mail, and you say, no, this is not junk, and you move it out back to your inbox, or you add the address to your contacts, it still keeps coming up junk. Well, the problem may be that the email service that you're getting it from, let's say that you have an account that uses Microsoft Exchange, which is Outlook, or Gmail. What is probably happening is the mail is being flagged before you receive it as junk mail. So when mail comes in and your email program says, oh, this is junk, automatically flags it as junk. What you need to do is go to the website where you get your mail and mark it as not junk. and that should solve the problem. The next tip is turn off unwanted notifications.
In order to change the notifications that show up on the lock screen, what you do is you press and hold on the notification until you see the options block come up. Tap on the options block and that brings up this menu. From this point, you just decide what you want to do, whether you want to move it to the summary or turn it off. And that's it.
Our third tip is an iOS tip, sharing your contact info.
To share a contact on your iOS device, first do a search for contacts and open the contacts application. Search for yourself and then go through and scroll all the way down to the bottom and you'll see where it says share contact. Open that up and then you see all the fields within your contact with the check marks, and you can select which ones you want to share and which ones you don't want to share. After you select all the ones that you do want to and don't want to share, then you scroll down to share contact, select that, and that will bring up a list of who you can share your contact with or what application. And then that's all that's sent is what you've checked off.
Another iOS tip, how to increase volume settings on a headphone.
For those of you that use earbuds or earbuds from Apple, have noticed that sometimes when you're listening to music, that just can't hear it, the volume is really low. Well, I've discovered a setting that can fix that problem. Go into settings, and in settings, scroll down to sounds and haptics, and then under headphone safety, you'll see reduce loud sounds. If you see that that's turned on, what this does is any sounds louder than whatever it's chosen, like here it says 90 decibels, as loud as a motorcycle, heavy traffic, car horn, it will cut that out of your headphones. I had mine for some reason down to 80, which meant I could barely hear anything. I turn it off unless you really have to have a reason for turning it on, and you'll be surprised at how much more volume we have in your headphones. And that's it.
And our last iOS tip is how to force sync photos in your library.
We're going to take a look at now a solution to a problem. If you've ever had taken pictures and they're on your phone, but they're not in the cloud or on your laptop or iPad, here's the reason why. And what I'm going to do is show you, we're going to go into Photos right now and go over to Library. And we'll scroll all the way down to the bottom. And you see right there it says synced with iCloud just now. If you're not on Wi-Fi or you're not plugged into power, it will delay syncing to the cloud until you plug it in. This is true with contacts, notes, photos. So if you want it to resume syncing, if you take another picture, there'll be a tab that says resume. And that's all you have to do. That's it.
Now we have a macOS tip. This one's for Keynote on how to animate a line in Keynote. We're going to take a look at a neat little trick you can do in Keynote that allows you to animate a line. And one of the uses I found for this is that when I go on trips, I can take a map and show the route, use segments of the route for our daily trips. So this is how it's done. You start off insert line, draw with line. And what you get is a pen tool, and you can double click points to toggle between straight and curved lines and drag a midpoint to divide the line. So let's take a look how that works. We're going to start off here in Sierra Vista. I'm just going to click here, come up to Benson, and just go on the route through Tucson, Marana, Casa Grande, and just follow the route, putting points. I don't have to be real accurate at this point because I can come back and fix it when I'm done. And then we're going up to Flagstaff, then through Winslow, Holbrook, to Gallup, into Albuquerque, to Santa Fe, back to Albuquerque, down 25, to Hatch, through Hatch to Deming, into Lordsburg, and then finally back to Sierra Vista where it closes. Now, this is the neat part. What I can do is any place, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see it. I'm going to go to about 150% so you can really see it. Is that like right here, if I just hover over the line, I get a spot, and I just drag it back up to where I want it to be. And I can make it as accurate as I want to. The line shows up automatically. It's not really like a Bezier curve, but it's really easy to use. And we just go in, like right here, I'm actually going through Sedona and put these straight, make them straight lines. And based on how accurate I want to get. And just go in. So what I'm going to do is drop off and finish this, but you get the idea that I can just go back in and finish these lines. And make it look as neat as I want to. So let me finish this and I'll get back to you. Okay, now that I've finished outlining the map, what I need to do is change what the line looks like because a black line doesn't really look that good. So I'm going to come over to the style of the line, and I want it to be a dashed line, and I'm going to make it red so you can see it real nice. And then I need to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to make it about 6 points. That looks pretty good, I'm pretty sure. And we can go back and change it. Now, right now, if I were to play it, it would do nothing. It doesn't move. So I'm going to go over to animate. And animate and build in, I'm going to add an effect called line draw. And as you can see, it just drew the line. So we can see that again. That's awfully fast. So I'm going to change the duration to about 10 seconds. See how that works. Hit the preview again. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now, if I were preparing this for a slideshow of my trip, what I would do is have a line drawn between each of the stops. Like, we'll go from Sierra Vista up to Phoenix and spend the night. So that would be one line. And then I draw another line and animate that from Phoenix to Sedona, then Sedona to Flagstaff, then Flagstaff to Santa Fe, and then Santa Fe home. So now that we've got this done, we ease out. We can run it, clockwise or counterclockwise. And hit the preview button. Oh, I want to change the acceleration to ease in. And there we go. And there's our animated line. And you can do it for a number of different things, but that's how you do it, and it's really simple. Now we're going to hear from Barry with a macOS tip on the Finder.
Hi there. This is your old pal, Barry BazMac Geek Midgordon, with a quick tip on some Finder navigation shortcuts. So first, let's open a new Finder window, and by default on this machine, it opens up to my home directory. This is macOS Ventura. And we're looking at, let's look at my documents folder and open up this documents for this particular computer. I have multiple computers syncing to iCloud, and I'll open this demo folder. The first tip has to do with the title of the window, or the title bar as we call it, is the top of the window where you see the title. When you hover over it, you'll see the little icon appears here in the Finder showing you this is just a folder. And if you didn't know this, if you were to control click or right click or alternate click, depending on what mouse or trackpad you happen to have, right on that title, you would get a pop-up of the folder hierarchy above the current item. Now this works in almost every window on the Macintosh. So it could be a Pages document or a PDF in preview. And if you right click on the title of the document, you'll get the hierarchy of the enclosing folder structure, directory structure where that file happens to be saved. In this case, it's just the folder that I'm looking at in the Finder. And this means that this demo folder is inside a folder called Documents Miranda, which is inside of another folder called Documents, which is on my iCloud drive. An alternate way of getting that same menu is to hold down the Command key and click. And that gives you the same hierarchical menu here. So there's two ways of doing it. So you can just right click. If you have a mouse with a right click or right button or alternate click button, or you can hold down the Control key and click, which is the same as a right click, or you can hold down the Command key and click. Actually, 3 different ways to get the same menu. So this kind of shows you where on your drive or your storage you happen to be looking at. Let's say now we want to move around, and we got some keyboard shortcuts whereby we can move through these folder structures. So if I wanted to move from this demo folder back up to this folder without using my mouse, I can hold down the Command key and tap the up arrow key, and it goes up one level in the hierarchy, which is kind of interesting that it means it's going to go down in the list when you look at the menu. But now I've gone up to the Documents folder that encloses the demo folder. So if I want to go back down into that Demos folder, it's already highlighted. I can hold down the Command key and tap the down key, and it goes back down into it. And if I want to go down into another folder that's inside it, it just has to be selected. So I'll click on it, Command down arrow, down into that folder. Some stuff. So if I Command up arrow, goes back to the demo, and I can use the arrow keys to navigate around the items in a folder in icon view like this. The left arrow key moves me to the next folder over. Some more stuff. I go Command down and go into that one. Command up, back up. If I want to look at any of these other items, I can use the left and right arrow keys to navigate item to item in icon view. I can use the up arrow to go to this other section up here, these other icons above. Down arrow, go back down to these. So you can use your keyboard to navigate around windows, the contents of a window, and to go down into other directories that are in that window. Now, if I have an icon of a document highlighted, not a folder, I can hit Command down arrow to go into that item. Now, it's not locally. It's going to download this. It's going to download this JPEG first. When it finishes downloading it, it should open it up in preview. Sure enough, there it is. So you can open up an image or a document by using those same shortcuts. Now let's say I want to open up one of these other folders, but instead of just navigating down into it, I want to open it up in another tab. The Finder supports tabbed windows. Like many other applications on the Mac, For instance, if you use Safari, the web browser, you can open up multiple websites in the same window in separate tabs. You can do that with folders in the Finder as well. So if I want to open up this Some More Stuff folder in another tab, I hold the Command key down and double click on it. And now I have two tabs, one for the demo folder, which I was in just a second ago, and one for more stuff, some more stuff that I just double clicked with the Command key down. I can do a third one with this other folder. Command, double click on some stuff. Now I have some stuff in a tab, some more stuff in a tab, and the parent demo folder in a tab as well. If you hold the Command key down and click on a folder, double click on a folder, and it doesn't do that, take a trip over to the Finder menu and open up the Settings. This would be Preferences if you're on an operating system before Ventura. And in the General area, you'll see at the very bottom a checkbox. Open folders and tabs instead of new windows. Turn that on. If that is off, all that will happen when you double click another folder is it'll just open in a new window. So let's see. I'll turn that off for now. Let me close these tabs, and I'm just back to the demo. And if I double click, even with the Command key down, it just opens in another window. So this checkbox has to be turned on in Finder Settings or Preferences in the General area, and now it'll open in a tab. Now, if you want something open in another window, its own separate window, you can hold the Command and Option key down and double click that folder, and it'll open up that item in another window. So those are your basic Finder navigation shortcuts using keyboard shortcuts and mouse clicks and combinations of the two to move around in your folder hierarchy. Thanks for watching. See you for the next tip.
Any questions on any one of the operating system, Windows, Macintosh, iOS, anything else? Okay, if there's no questions, let's take a 5-minute break. Thanks, folks. See you right after the break. Okay, the terms of the month. First one is password management. As you can see here, is a system that facilitates a simple, secure way to store passwords and access them quickly when required. Let's face it, passwords have become unmanageable. Having a program that you can use to keep track of them for you is almost essential these days. Two-factor authentication. An extra layer of security to make sure that the person trying to gain access to an online account is who they say they are. Use it to prevent hackers. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you visit sites that have critical personal information, mainly credit card, banking, and personal info, use two-factor authentication. With many sites now, government sites, banking sites, medical sites, all require it. It's not an option. Passwords have been compromised. So if it's offered to you, use it. As Mike showed in the Authenticator apps, use those. FIDO, which we're at FIDO 2. Fast Identity Online. This replaces passwords, and it will replace two-factor authentication when it's implemented. Users sign in with phishing-resistant credentials called passkeys. It can be synced across devices, bound to a platform, or an external security key that looks very much like a thumb drive. So you don't have to use passwords. These are becoming more and more common. The government has been using them for years. It's now being offered to the general public. They're catching on quickly, which means that if I'm using this laptop, that I don't have to worry about passwords, that it will know me by some other factor. Like it'll verify my face, it'll verify my fingerprint. I'll have to put in a special code. I have to give a DNA sample. I like that one. That is, yeah. We don't have DNA samples yet, but it's coming. Password management. That's what this whole meeting is about. Now, what I've done is I've created a video.
The importance of strong, unique passwords. In today's digital age, passwords are the keys to our entire lives. They protect our personal information, bank accounts, social media accounts, and even our medical records. Therefore, it's crucial that we create strong and unique passwords to keep our digital identity safe from cybercriminals. Creating a strong password is the first line of defense against cyber attacks. However, many people fail to recognize the importance of this practice. They tend to use easily guessable or common passwords that can be easily cracked by hackers. According to a recent report, the most commonly used passwords include 123456, password, QWERTY, and admin. These passwords are like an open invitation to cybercriminals who can easily access your sensitive information. On the other hand, strong and unique passwords are difficult to guess or break. A strong password typically includes at least 8 characters, a mix of upper and lower case letters, numbers, and special characters. It is also recommended to avoid using personal information such as your name, birth date, or address. Additionally, using a different password for each account is essential to prevent one compromised password from affecting all of your accounts. Apart from creating strong passwords, it's also crucial to change them frequently. Even the strongest password can be compromised over time, so it's best to change them every 3 to 6 months. Strong and unique passwords are fundamental to keep your online identity safe. It's crucial to create and maintain good password habits to prevent cybercriminals from accessing your sensitive information. Remember, a strong password is like a sturdy lock on your front door, protecting your digital life from prying eyes. There are some tips you could use for remembering complex passwords. Use a passphrase. Instead of a single word, use a sentence or phrase that's easy for you to remember, but difficult for others to guess. For example, I love hiking in the mountains during autumn can be turned into ILHITMDA by taking the first letter of each word. Mix it up. Use a combination of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols in your passwords. This will make them more difficult to crack. Use substitutions. Replace certain letters with numbers or symbols. For example, replace S with a $sign or A with an ampersand. Use a password manager. There are many password manager tools available that can help you generate and store complex passwords. This way you don't have to remember them all, and we'll talk about password managers more in just a bit. Don't reuse passwords. Use unique passwords for each account. If one password gets compromised, you don't want all of your accounts to be at risk. The dangers of using the same password for multiple accounts. Apart from making you vulnerable to identity theft and financial losses, reusing the same password for multiple accounts opens you up to a host of other risks. One of the biggest concerns is that if a hacker manages to gain access to one of your accounts, then they can use the same credentials to log into other accounts and take control of them. Another issue is that if one of your accounts gets compromised, scammers can use the information they obtain to target you with phishing emails and other scams. For example, they may use your email address and password to create convincing fake login pages that trick you into divulging even more sensitive information. By using different passwords for each account, you can reduce the risk of hackers gaining access to your accounts. However, it can be difficult to remember multiple passwords. To avoid this, you can use a password manager. A password manager is a secure tool that stores all of your users' names and passwords in one place, and you only need to remember one master password to access them all. One of the biggest benefits of using a password manager is that it can help you create and store strong, unique passwords for all of your online accounts. Many people tend to use the same password for all their accounts, which can put them at risk if a hacker gets hold of that password. With a password manager, you can generate and store complex passwords that are difficult for hackers to crack. Another advantage of password managers is they can save you time and hassle. With a password manager, you don't have to remember all of your different passwords. The manager does it for you. This means that you don't have to waste time resetting passwords or trying to remember old ones when you need to access an account. Additionally, many password managers offer features like autofill, which can automatically enter your login details into websites and apps, further streamlining the login process. They also can store personal and sensitive information, such as data information from driver's license, passports, and credit cards. Password managers also offer enhanced security features that can help protect your accounts even further. For example, some password managers are able to detect when you've entered your password on a phishing site or other malicious websites and alert you to that danger. Many password managers are now offering two-factor authentication. It is an extra layer of security that requires not only a password, but also a second form of verification to access an account. This second factor can be something you have, such as a physical token or a smartphone, something you know, such as a PIN or an answer to a security question, or something that you are, such as a fingerprint or facial recognition. The use of two-factor authentication can significantly improve password security by protecting against brute force attacks, phishing attempts, and password reuse. With two-factor authentication, even if an attacker manages to obtain your password, they will still need the second factor to access your account, making it much harder for them to carry out an attack. Many websites and services offer two-factor authentication as an option, and it is highly recommended to enable it whenever possible. Some services even require two-factor authentication for access to sensitive data or high-security environments. Despite the importance of password management, many people continue to make common mistakes that can compromise their online security. Here are a few common mistakes to avoid. Using easy-to-guess passwords. Avoid using simple passwords that can be easily guessed by attackers. Avoid using common words, sequential characters, or personal information that can be easily found online. Reusing passwords. Using the same password for multiple accounts is a big no-no. If one of your accounts is compromised, all of your other accounts with the same password could be at risk. Writing down passwords. Writing down passwords on paper or storing them in a document on your computer or phone is not a safe practice if you are not in a secure area. It's better to use a password manager that encrypts your passwords and keeps them in a secure location. Sharing passwords with others, even with trusted friends or family members, is not recommended. It's better to create separate logins for others if necessary. Passwords should be changed every few months to keep them strong and to reduce the risk of being compromised. By avoiding these common mistakes, you can ensure that your passwords are strong and secure and your online identity is protected from cyber criminals. Using a password manager can offer a range of benefits, including stronger password security, time savings, and additional security features. With more and more of our lives moving online, it's becoming increasingly important to ensure that our online accounts are secure, and a password manager can help us achieve that goal.
Any questions before we start into the app demonstrations? No question. Yes, sir.
I'd like to add a caveat to the one tip about placing like S's.
Dollar signs.
A lot of the know that those are common replacements now. So you may want to think of other kinds of replacements that may not look so obvious.
Mm-hmm. Like purposely misspelling words. That's a good one. Purposely misspelling a word. Like password. Instead of spelling it Password, you spell it Pessward. And then you replace the first A with an ampersand, the second S with a dollar sign, a W, an A, an R, and then a D, and then two special characters, such as exclamation point, exclamation point. That would be a very tough one to break. Purposely misspelling. Or take your last name and misspell it. I mean, Barry's lucky because his last name nobody can spell. So he can use that. Okay, now what we're going to do is take a look at some password management programs. First one is going to be one that's built into the Mac and iOS called Keychain. And technically, it is not a password manager yet. It is part of the operating system, but allows you to manage passwords, but not well, but it's there. And it really helps because when you go to a site, it will log you in. Okay, so let's take a look. Oh, by the way, all the visuals you saw in that video were all generated with Firefly, the AI program from Adobe. Something I found out, Barry, it does not handle words at all. Like if you say, showing on a, like, let's discuss on a billboard, it cannot put out the word. This visual was generated with the AI program.
Sir, and a top.
Yeah.
Those hackers had six feet.
And you notice that, yeah. It's still beta. Okay, so we're going to take a look at Keychain. That was Keychain. By the way, Keychain can do credit card information. It can store it. I know there's a way to edit it, but I cannot find it. That's why I didn't show it. It is in there. It is secure. Everything in Keychain is encrypted. If it goes outside, like to the cloud, it's encrypted, and a 256-bit key is extremely difficult to hack. I will not say impossible, but given today's technology, in order to crack a 256-bit encryption would take a supercomputer over 100 years. That's for one encryption. So your credit card information is pretty safe, especially if you're using Apple Pay. Apple Pay's encryption technology makes it virtually impossible to crack the way they have it set up because they use tokenizations. Okay, now we're going to have Barry, who's going to give us a presentation on another password manager called 1Password. Here.
Mentioned Keychain in iCloud.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, without going to iCloud. So if I have iCloud Keychain turned off,
That means it's still on your phone. You just can't sync it with other devices. and it does not use up any of your iCloud storage space at all. So if you're not using the sync, because
I am actually using it. I just was wondering if I have a device that I'm not using it on, does it have keychain?
yes, it just will not sync with other devices. And I don't know because all my links disappeared. Barry, you didn't do any editing on this, did you? I didn't think so. Yeah, I know. Because when I went in there this morning, it said you had changed it to Mike. Oh, okay. Because like Dashlane doesn't have the link to it. Okay, I'm waiting for Barry to
get set up here, but
okay.
So I just put into password in my iPad, and I clearly have password saved. Up when I tell it, it's running it.
Are the ones on your phone the same ones you have on your iPad? That's the easiest way to do it. Yeah.
have a break before I do this.
Yeah, let's take a quick 5-minute break. That way I can check and find out what the heck's going on here. I've paused the video, make sure I turn it back.
To turn off the third-party cookies, you have to go into the third-party and turn off the cookie, right?
No, you can do it from the browser settings.
Yeah, so you go Safari
Under security cookies.
on a Mac. You go to the Safari menu. Oh, they will be in the settings app, and you'll have to scroll down to find Safari listed.
Go into settings on the search to Safari.
That's easier. So if you pull down, you get a search field at the very top. You can just type the Safari.
And you scroll all the way down, you say block all cookies.
Should be an item that just says Safari with the Safari icon.
Have it. She has Safari in the cloud.
The one she wants is prevent cross-site tracking. In Safari on iOS, what you want to turn on is prevent cross-site tracking. That's third-party cookies. And with that turned on, that only allows first-party cookies. If you want to turn off all cookies, go down to block all cookies.
Default. By party, but that's what third parties do. They track you cross sites.
Yeah, but I
For Amazon? You talking about Amazon? That's Amazon. That's not cookies. That's Amazon. It's just Amazon. Yeah. You could write them and say, "Look at, please stop doing that." Okay. Sure. I got an email from them last week. Procured by somebody else. Passwords were hashed, and partial credit card numbers were also hashed. Bad humid, limited shipping addresses, email addresses, and telephone numbers. It was initially watch out for phishing expedition. Because now people.
But you would have needed to register them for them to have it.
Yes, which I did. And purchase directly from them.
Otherwise, you're nobody.
One more tidbits out there. One more, say. I did not get that notice. On May 5th. I never got that. That's interesting, because I have all Western Digital. Okay. You ready to share, Barry?
This is completely unrehearsed and off the cuff. 1Password demo. I looked it up just a few minutes ago. I started using 1Password in 2011. So over a decade now I've been using this password manager. Hopefully there won't expose too much personal information. But you can blur it out on the edit it. I don't think I have to worry too much about it. First off, I'll just open the miniature web browser thing here. So this is 1Password's website. They do have a free trial. I don't know exactly how long it is. And they have tiers for personal use, business use, enterprise installations, and developers. Lots of businesses trust them according to their own testimonial. They work cross-platform, so you can use 1Password on a Mac, on an iPhone, iPad, any iOS device, iPod Touch, Windows, Android phones, Android tablets, and Linux computers. So it's could be a one-stop solution if you have different kinds of devices from different manufacturers, different operating systems. If you want them all to be synchronized, it can happen with 1Password. So I'm not going to go read everything here, but just kind of scroll through here. They the way they secure their service is, again, through, like John mentioned, very high-end industry standard encryption. And all the data of your particular passwords and other things that it stores, and I'll show you that it's more than just passwords. That's one reason I chose it, because there was a lot of other options that I took advantage of. So all of it is encrypted on device. Whatever device you happen to be using it with, it's encrypted in place on that device. And it's only unencrypted when you need to use it. So you put in your one password, that's the whole thing about it. You just have to remember one password, and it gives you access to all your other passwords. So you can put in that one password to unencrypt what you need, the data you need to use, and then once it's entered, then it goes encrypted again. So it's also encrypted in transit. It is a cloud-based solution. That's the only way that it can synchronize between all these different platforms and devices. So there is a cloud-based component, but it's encrypted as it is in transit, and it's encrypted at rest on the 1Password servers. The 1Password company does not have a key to open it. They don't know your key, your 1Password that you have to unlock it on your device. They don't know it. They can't unlock it. If your data gets compromised, it's encrypted data, and it's gibberish to whoever grabs it off of their server. They have not had that kind of a security breach yet in their how many years of doing business. Unlike LastPass, who got hacked last year. I'm not sure they're going to survive as a company. Okay, so I said it does more than just passwords, but let's just look at that real quick. Let me open a new tab here and go somewhere where I have to put in a password. So I'll just go to Apple and log into my iCloud account. Oh, actually, let's go to iCloud instead. I'll just go to my iCloud account. And it looks like the internet is slow. So if I want to sign in here, oh, that's not a good example, because it's going to use my fingerprint. So let's what should I go to?
Amazon.
Oh, I could do that. You can see what I buy. So if I go to sign in at Amazon, you'll notice it puts this little icon right in the field. I'm sorry it's so small. I didn't expect it to change the resolution of my screen. And you notice it has a little lock on it. Whoops, it went away. There's a keyboard shortcut, however. Why did it do? Oh, I'm in full screen mode. Okay. Let's just reload this page a second. Okay. So use 1Password. I have Apple's keychain turned off because I don't want them both doing it at the same time. So the little icon there for 1Password has a little lock on it, which means my 1Password database on this device is locked right now. It's encrypted. For me to use this password for Amazon, I have to give it my 1Password password. So I either click there, or there's a keyboard shortcut, and that's just not doing what I want it to do. Let's get out of full screen mode. I'm going to click on that, and 1Password is configured. I can unlock it with my fingerprint, which I have a fingerprint reader on this MacBook Air. I can also unlock it with my watch, Apple Watch, because I have them synchronized in order to do that. And then once it's unlocked, 1Password gives me a menu. Come on. Because there's actually more than one thing here in my database that has to do with Amazon. But this top one here is my account. So There you go. It automatically filled my email address. Of course, when you're doing a demo, it seems a lot more complicated than when I just hit it and hit enter and it goes. And then and Amazon has two screens, one for your ID and one for your password. Some of them have this two fields on the same page, but it automatically filled in my password for Amazon. I can click sign in and voila. I'm in my Amazon account. You see it says, has my name. So, I don't know what that was. So that's an easy use. That's how easy it is. I just unlock 1Password. It automatically comes up with some choices. If there aren't more than one entry in 1Password for Amazon, for instance, I have a Kindle Creator account because my wife publishes books there, and so I go in and I can manage her book account. But so if it's the only entry is just the one ID, it'll just automatically insert it, and it actually hits the return key for you. So once you actually invoke 1Password, it'll just go through, enter your email address, enter your password, hit return, and it logs you right in. So it's like one or two keystrokes, and 1Password has you into your account. If I want to buy something, it'll automatically it'll automatically enter my credit card account, my credit card information. Now, Amazon is one of those places where they keep your credit card on file. I haven't discovered a way to use Amazon without a credit card on file with them. I think you have to have one. And with Apple, you have to have one if you're going to make purchases at the App Store or whatever. So there's some places you have to have a credit card on file. But if you're doing business with a site that doesn't require that, I don't let them save it, because I can have 1Password just enter my credit card instantly in a couple of keystrokes, and they don't need to know it. I can just put it in myself, and I can put it in easily every time I buy something. So let me go to, I quit it. Okay, so let's launch 1Password. And you can see the 1Password interface here real quickly. And you can get an idea of the kinds of things that you can store in 1Password. So one reason I chose it was for password management, but it also will keep secure encrypted information in its database of other kinds that I don't want just floating around unencrypted on my hard drive, like social security numbers and identities. So I can have my social security number, my social security card information in here. I can keep track of software licenses. So if I go to software licenses, I can look at the software, and I can see my license key for this software, the email that's registered with that software vendor, the page where I can download the software, the company's main web page or support. I can put in how much it cost me, when I purchased it, and all that kind of stuff for all my different software that I have purchased third-party outside of the Mac App Store. So that's a nice feature. You can have secure notes. So you can keep track of, you've got notes on your computer, like I've got Apple Notes. But if I want something behind a strong encryption, if someone were to get my MacBook Air, they could go, if they could get into my account on here, they could get into my Apple Notes and see all my recipes. Wow, okay. Maybe other things too. But if there's stuff that I want to have a note about that is personal information, medical information or other things like that, like you can see, I put in my COVID vaccination information in here. I have passwords for other people that I keep track of. Some people, I have some other information from like work, and I don't know, a whole bunch of different things. And if I'm keeping track of somebody else's personal information for convenience when interacting with them, like clients. I put it in here rather than my Apple Notes because it's encrypted behind this locked database when it's locked. Right now it's unlocked, but then even if the device is compromised, the data in my 1Password
Store images?
database. Yes, you can put images in there. You can put PDFs in there. So there's.
Size limited?
It's just the storage on your computer.
Okay.
So if you use up your entire hard drive, then you can't put any more data in 1Password, but you can't put any more data of any kind on your computer. So that's your limit.
It's just another contributor to the storage.
Yeah, right. It's just like anything else. It's just files.
It's not off-site.
It's not off-site.
Yeah.
Now it does synchronize it though. So this data, when it's encrypted, it will synchronize with 1Password's secure cloud so that I can have access to all the same information on my phone and on my iPad or on another computer. I can just go to the 1Password website and log into my account there and get access to it if I need to. So it's quite nice. You can also share passwords, and 1Password uses a metaphor called a vault. On the left-hand side, the sidebar here, you can see this section called vaults. Everybody has a private vault, but I also have a shared vault. I have one account at 1Password, but both my wife and I use it. It's a family account, so I think it provides up to 6 people on the same family account. So my wife and I have a shared vault, and when we put something in there, like if I put something in the shared vault, my wife can see it. So if we have login information for a site, we each have our own separate login information, but if it's a site where it would be beneficial for each of us to have access to the other one's login at some point, we can put it in the shared vault, like our bank, for instance. Our banking, we have a joint checking account. So our banking login information is in the shared vault, and both of us have access to those passwords and so forth for our bank.
Or if you didn't care, you could just share the 1Password password, right? And it would just share.
Yes,
all those
and in
devices.
fact, that's one of the things that they've recently added as a new feature. You can share a login on a login by login basis, and you can have it time out even. So I haven't actually had an opportunity or need to use that, but there is a way of sharing even just one entry. That's all you want. Harry, right?
Silly question. You say you use 1Password for this and the company don't know it. Right? Just by chance, if you forget that password, are you just totally screwed and locked out of all your accounts? Or?
No. One of the things that happens when you set up a 1Password account is that they set you up with what's called a secret master key. And they send it to you in a PDF document. And they encourage you to take that PDF, print a copy, put it in your safe deposit box or someplace secure, and then don't store that anywhere digitally that's not encrypted or, if you put it inside your 1Password database and you forget your 1Password, you can't get to it. But so you need to have it someplace outside of 1Password. And if you ever can't get into or forget your actual 1Password login, then you have this secret master key, and it's a huge long password thing that has special characters and numbers and upper and lowercase and all that kind of stuff. So
But clearly, right there on that piece of paper on the back, you could write your password.
You could.
And
So if you forget it, yeah, you
Right,
can.
put it in
Yeah.
your safety
Actually, there is a
deposit
field on it where you can just fill in your actual 1Password account password. So yeah. So you're not totally out. Now, if you don't have either of those things, then yes. And they can't get you into it because they don't have those keys.
Yeah.
They generate that master secret key once and send it to you, and then it's no longer in their hands. Yeah.
Well, so is that in an email? If they sent it to you?
No, it's they tell you it's a download at their website when you set up your account.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So is it in your downloads?
if you leave it there,
Okay. I'm just going through that. Well, where could you find it?
right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, like what I did with mine, aside from printing it and have it secure someplace like at the bank, I put it on an external hard drive that the drive itself is encrypted. So I have to have a password even to access the information on the drive. So I do have a digital copy of it, but it's also been behind a different encryption than the 1Password is. So
Remember that password.
yeah. Just real briefly, it is a subscription service. So, there's a monthly fee, or you can choose to pay annually and get a certain amount of discount off the monthly amount by paying it annually. I think my annual fee is $100. It's $99 a year basically. And if it's monthly, I think it's $10 a month. So then you pay $120 if you didn't do the annual discount. So, and that's probably a good enough short demo here. I like it. It's the first one I used, so I just kept with it, and they haven't disappointed. So, any other questions?
When you first started out, do you have to, all your accounts that you have to go individually and do them, or?
Oh, good. That's a good question. The question is, so when you set up this account, this probably is for any password manager, but the way 1Password works, you set up your account, and then when you go to a website and that you have an account in, but it's not in the 1Password database yet, you log in like you normally would. You just type in your email address and then type in your password, and then as you do that, 1Password is in the background watching that happen, and it asks you, do you want to save this in 1Password? And you'd say yes, and it will create an entry, a login entry in the 1Password database using that URL and the email address and the password you typed. And then later, you could go into 1Password and add more information. Like there's a notes field you can type in, things like John showed with the keychain, same kind of thing. You can add your own data to that website or to that entry in the database, just for your own information that you want to have along with it if you want to. So as you start using 1Password, you just log into accounts like you normally would, and it will capture that data and add it for you. And then you can manually enter your credit card information into 1Password. And then once it's there, you can use 1Password then to fill in the fields of a credit card payment in a online checkout, even including your the CCV or CVV number, whatever that is.
Well, does it automatically, change your password to
The 3 months.
No, it doesn't. But it does have. I should reopen it.
Because you don't want. You want that one. They're encrypted.
Right.
Password on that.
It does. It does have a feature that they called Watchtower. And Watchtower will give you looks kind of like a credit report kind of thing. Here's your online credit not like credit, but it's your online security score. And it gives you information about, okay, I've got data, I have data in my 1Password database from 3 websites that have been compromised. I have 20 vulnerable passwords. So I can have it show them to me. I should go look at this more often. And then you can go in and change those. It also shows you reused passwords. That one's a little dicey because it's looking at entries. When you have 1Password create a password for you, it creates an entry in the password category. There's also that same password in an entry in the login category. So basically it's saying this password's been reused because it's in passwords and it's in logins. It's not really being reused, but it's multiple times in the database, basically is what it's saying. But again, I should take a look. There's two-factor authentication notification in here, so you can see what sites you visit that you're not using two-factor authentication. You can turn it on with 1Password. Unsecured websites and weak passwords. I thought it told me how, yeah, that you can see how, maybe I don't have any. I remember seeing 1Password show me that I have passwords that are old. So that maybe I should think about, I've used this password for over 6 months or whatever. Then.
It doesn't create passwords for you?
Yes, there's a password generator built into it.
So you can do it either way. You make them or it doesn't.
I can do a new item here, a login, credit cards. I can do all kinds of, here's a new password. Let's say password, create a new password. I can do a random. I can choose up to 100 characters.
Holy cow.
And the minimum is 8. I can have it include numbers and symbols or not. It automatically will do upper and lower case if you don't do numbers and symbols. You can also have it do a memorable password, which is more like a passphrase, only it's not really a sentence like the example John gave. It's just a number of words that you can have with a separator or not. So you can choose a different separator like underscores or whatever. And they're just randomly chosen words that are easier to remember, but because it's a longer string and you can change however many words you want, 3 is the minimum. I often use this to generate my recurring passwords at my employer, because I think it's every 90 days we're required to change our password at the city of Sierra Vista. So I go into 1Password on my phone and say, make me a new memorable one, but I only use 3 words, and then I usually use a number for the separator. And once I use it a few times, it's easy to remember. Because I don't have 1Password on my work computer. They don't have that. So, but
if you have to change every 90 days, it's an easy way
it's
to
an easy,
get a secure.
Yeah, and if you're changing passwords, if it's in a login that's already established, you could go into that record and change the password. But then you just need to remember that the next time you go to that website, actually it's better to go to the website first and then go to their change password function when you're ready to do it. Then have 1Password generate a new password, put it in, and then 1Password will ask you, do you want to update the record for this website? And you say yes, and it'll change the password in 1Password for you. So you can have it generate a new one and update itself at the same time, basically. So
I had a question regarding when the website shows up and you're looking at your passwords. Some of my passwords, some of the websites don't have the name of the company. You know, I am clearly OIO.
Oh, right, yes.
.com.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean anything to me. Can I label those?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, because 1Password will, the automatic label on a new one will be using the URL.
Right.
But then you can go back into 1Password and change the label. Yeah.
I'm not changing the URL. I'm just adding
Right. Yeah.
a word.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll just show my Discord. Oh, that's hers. Where's a login here? Oh, this is okay. So here's a record for a login that I have with a company. It used to be called Extensus. Now there's something else. I can't remember what they did, but they still has this extensus.com. But this is a field that you can edit. So, you know, if the company name changed, I could change the name here and it'd still use the same login information. So, and you'll notice that even in 1Password itself, it shows me my username, but even in 1Password, the passwords, 1Password's unlocked, but it's still obscuring my password, even from myself.
Can you make it be seen?
Yeah, you have to go to this little drop down and show reveal.
Okay.
And you can do large type, which like it's a big display on your full screen. Connected fonts, that's what they call it now or something. I don't know. So we're gonna run out of time if I don't stop. Any more questions? All right. That's 1Password overview. And back to you, John. Oh wait, how do I stop this? There we go.
Okay, thank you very much, Barry. The next one is Mike with RoboForm.
Yes, Mike.
Okay. Do me a favor. Could you turn on record voice on your phone and then send me that file?
I don't think I'll need to because this is going to be really short and sweet. Because basically, everything that you just saw Barry say, in your mind, instead of 1Password, put in RoboForm. Because RoboForm does exactly everything.
Hey, thank you very much,
that
Barry.
just described.
Like that.
The
Okay. But let me just go ahead
next
and show
one
you how
is
to-
Mike with RoboForm. Okay. Do me a favor. Could you turn on record voice on your phone and then send me that file?
I don't think I'll need to because this is good. Because basically everything that you just saw Barry say in your mind instead of 1Password, but in RoboForm. Because RoboForm does exactly everything that Barry just described.
Like that.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, because this is going to be very short and sweet. RoboForm has been around since 2000. I've been using it since about 2008, 2009, in all its various iterations. Its current iteration, it is very much like what Barry just showed, and I'm going to bring it up. I have the icon here. It's the little green guy over on the right side in the middle. Open him up on iOS, it does face recognition, and there I am. The functionality is almost exactly the way that Barry just described 1Password. I've got all that same stuff there. Here's all my various logins. I just went through changing all my logins. I try to do that every April, around April 1st. For those of us who have been around the internet for a long time, they might remember when April 1st was Internet Cleanup Day, where we're going to vacuum out the internet, so unplug your computer so it doesn't suck all the information out. All of those great days when nobody knew what they were talking about. But I go through and I change them. I've got like 300 passwords here. I'm going to look at one of them. Here's AAA. Again, I could go ahead and view stuff if I wanted to. One thing I find very useful here on iOS is sometimes I'll open a website on the phone that just will want to automatically complete or fill everything in. Then I could come here and I could just go copy username or usually copy password and then go back in and put it in, paste it in manually. But normally this will just work as automatically as what Barry was just saying. Oop, let me go back to that. It's got all the same tools that he was talking about. Got a password generator. I have it set for 16 characters, random, different advanced options. I can tell how many numbers I want, uppercase, lowercase, all that good stuff. I usually go with 16. When I was generating them, I found one website that actually required 24, which amazed me. I found one website that would let you go up to 160, which seemed a bit much. What else we have here? This is stuff I've been to recently. And this is things I've not used myself. Yes, I can add in credit card numbers, bank accounts. This is all stuff that was been added in since I've been using it for a long time. I didn't even know this was here until I started poking around at it. So yeah, essentially you can use this very much the same way. A couple things I will mention is, Barry, you are way overpaying. This is also a subscription service. It cost me $20 a year. Last time I renewed, they actually offer a 5-year renewal for $80. I did that. So very cost effective. It does the same thing. It has a website. And something you were just talking about, I didn't know if it did or not, which is rather cool. I found out that if I go to settings and security, it also has a master password restore. Apparently what it does, I'm guessing, is the website has the master password, which is what I used to log in. I guess if I forget it, I'll tell it to restore it, and it'll go up there, get it from the website, and let me know what it is. Just, okay. Didn't even know it would do that.
Or allow you to change it.
Or allow you to change it, I would imagine. Yeah, in that case, I'd want to change it, definitely. Yes, ma'am.
Which is good, not good, because somebody else can get in your phone and do that.
Yeah, they'd have to get past my face. Or my kin, whichever. But otherwise, yeah, it's essentially very, very much like 1Password. Yeah. Absolutely. Remember, I'm the Windows guy. Yes, I use it on all my PC devices. Carol has her own account. They do offer a family sharing account. But again, we've been using it for so long, we predate that. We just never bothered to have our own, to merge them together. Besides, she goes to her weird websites. I go to my weird websites. But yeah, I use this on all my devices. It does have them for iOS, for Mac, all the Windows. I could go up to the website.
On a device.
Right.
Just password.
Right. I go up to somebody else's computer. I go to roboform.com and I can log in through there and use it from there. Absolutely. Questions? Oops. If not, that's all I got.
Now, the last thing we're going to talk about is I'm going to give a presentation on Dashlane. And guess what? It's almost identical. macOS and iOS have a built-in password manager called Keychain. To access Keychain, come up to the System Settings, and in System Settings, do a search for passwords. And select the first one that comes up. Enter your system password. And this brings up all the passwords that have been saved in Keychain. And from here, you can import password, export all the passwords. Some of the options you have is you have the iCloud Keychain, which I always recommend you turn on. This way, all your devices are in sync with each other across macOS and iOS. Also, if you have a third-party password manager, like I use Dashlane, you can have it fill in from that. It also shows you security risks. And these are all vulnerabilities that it has found. Now, I won't go into great details on that, but I fixed most of these. And then if you need to find out like what your password is for this site, you double click it. It brings it up. If you scroll over it, you can find out what the password is very easily. You can go in and do any editing, but make sure that when you edit, you know what you're doing. You can add notes. You can go up, like right here, I have a warning. I've reused the password. I can delete the password. I can actually share the password. To my iPhone, which I don't have to do because I have them all in sync. We have that capability. So that's how Keychain works. Very simple, very straightforward, and it's a good password manager for what it does. Okay, any questions or discussion on passwords?
I think the basic takeaway here is if you're not using a password manager, which one? I think try them out and see which one personal and your interest, which will work best for you. Because I know we all have different priorities.
I also forgot to mention, and maybe it's the same with both of those, that 1Password will also do authenticator app duty. So, like Mike was showing with Microsoft Authenticator or Google Authenticator, 1Password will also do those jobs. So when I set up, I know, a two-factor authentication, and I want to use an authenticator app, I can actually use 1Password.
Yeah, I felt approval for it.
Yeah, if one comes out with it, the other one's coming out shortly after. So the Mike is absolutely right. If you're not using a password manager, you really should consider it because it will make your life a lot easier. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is very shortly, it will not be required because we're getting rid of passwords and going to a better way of doing it.
Well, AgileBits is the developer for 1Password. That's the company, parent company. They have a blog, and they've recently put out information about how they're going to be supporting FIDO passcodes as part of their 1Password password management system. So they're going to all evolve to the new passkey passwordless feature.
Now, the one feature I do like, I have in a lot of sites, especially money-based sites, is that once I log in with my password, I can enable facial ID or fingerprint identification, which means I can bypass all the passwords. It looks at me and recognizes me. And I tried such things as holding up a photograph of myself. Didn't work. I took my glasses off. And interestingly, it did not work. I had to put my glasses back on to be recognized. But yet I had a hat on once when I was down at Disney World, and it did recognize me.
Why doesn't care about that much of your eye?
Also, interestingly, even though I had the recognize with mask on turned on, it would never recognize me with a mask on. I always had to take it off. So that's what the future is showing. This is where we are now. And we're within 5 minutes. Oh, this is great. Anybody else have questions? Yes, ma'am.
Get your haircut.
No. Because what it's doing, it's looking at your eyes, the distance between your eyes, your nose in relationship to your eyes, your mouth in relationship to your nose and your eyes. And I don't remember there's a name for that, and I can't remember what it's called, but that is how facial recognition is done, because every person is unique in that aspect. Also, though we don't use it now, ear prints are more unique than fingerprints. And that's, coroners use that. Anything else? Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes.
So, what would you, hey,
That's a good question. We don't know yet. Because right now, Best Buy is the only one I know that uses FIDO 2. And it generates a pass key.
Just put out an update the last couple of days. It's past. So, of course, now we have to wait for the websites that it uses.
Yeah.
Google and Apple and Microsoft and other companies are all part of the consortium, the FIDO consortium, that are building this out. So all of them are going to support it on their devices from the get-go.
But how that's going to happen, we've only seen one. I only know of one so far, and that's Best Buy. When you do implement it, you have to turn it on. You have to go through some gyrations. But once it's on, it's seamless on that device. Right. If I go to a different device, it doesn't know who I am at all. It is device. Pardon? Yes. Right now, yes.
Well, and that may be something that a password manager evolves into, is that it will synchronize those passkeys from device to device for you, so they don't have to reinitiate it on every single one you own.
Right now, the way that Windows works is a site on workflow. I use a standard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's got a cookie right now. It's going to get there.
Yeah.
biometric?
So if your device has, a fingerprint reader or
Yeah. The facial recognition. No, biometrics is different. Biometrics is the use of some type of biology for identification. Fingerprint, earprint, facial recognition. The facial recognition algorithm of the eyes, the nose, the bridge of the nose, and the mouth in relationship to each other, that's got a very specific name, and I don't remember what it's called. That's not important. Okay, any other questions? Comments? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I think it's been a great meeting. And we'll see you all next month on photography.